Now I'm smiling. What you can see in front of you here is a Seat Leon in blue, Pepsi blue apparently. I'm not the biggest fan of these Volkswagen derived Seats, but the colour does really do it for me. It's a brilliant colour, and unlike my car, it's the same colour all over. The fast version of the Leon. Look, FR, that means rapid. The giveaway is the two big tailpipes and the mud flaps, although the mud flaps aren't standard. And come to think of it, neither is that ride height. Oddly enough, we've come here to Sandbrook Park because this car will bottom out coming into the yard, and he didn't want to scrape the bumper. But here, there's massive speed humps instead. I'm concerned by how low that chin actually is. If we look in that corner there, you probably don't want me to show you this, but look at that, that's already a bit damaged. If you forget to capitalise the S in Seat, it becomes seat, which is quite interesting because if you notice, the rear lamps look like car seats. I have mixed feelings with these, to be honest, because I do quite like all the smooth lines. There's something almost Alfa Romeo-esque about the back of this. The rear lamps look quite sad though. And then this here reminds me of the parting of the beard. If you're a man, you'll know what that's about. It's when you do that and you find little weak spots, little areas on your face where you don't grow a great deal of hair, and so you tend to part them. That's what that's like. Getting back to the design, there are quite a few nice lines. Look at this nice line across there, the way it just dwindles off into the back, forgets what it's doing. From this angle, it looks like it's just got one door handle. And from this side, we can see it's just, I'm not sure if that's a good idea or not. That's obviously perspex, not glass. I don't know, it's, gosh, it doesn't half look like a Volkswagen in there. Silver mirrors give it a rather sporty touch. What's this about though? What's this? What is that? I know I'm always full of stupid observations, but what this reminds me of is a lady's low-cut bra. If this was my car, I'd be tempted to draw some nipples on it somewhere. But actually, it does make sense. Look at these windscreen wipers, the way they're swept up to the A-pillars on both sides. They're completely out of the way. I notice this with many cars, but why do they insist on making things look a bit like a fish? It does, doesn't it? Come on, agree with me. You must do. It looks like a fish. A catfish, to be specific. From there, and just, well, basically the whole front end is just one big blue fish. Supercopa Seat Leon. I believe if we want to get into the boot, yep, it's locked. Whilst I'm still on the outside, may as well do some door shut sounds. Listen. Ugh, that just sounded like a Volkswagen door. Listen. And that looks a bit like a Mark IV Golf handle. Right, with the correct hand now. No, it's not the correct hand, but the left hand on this side. That just feels quite unusual to grab hold of. The interior is very Volkswagen-esque as well. Volkswagen Audi, rather bland, rather black, rather... Oh look, at least it's not got a black headlining. But it doesn't necessarily mean that I won't like it. Let's have a look anyway. Dashboard, all very solid. These are all quite good. Buttons are all, they're okay. This is an okay car actually. It all looks quite well put together. But this is awful. That's very, very scratchy material used there. I don't really like to give praise where it's not deserved, and it doesn't deserve it for that. The weird thing is here, I'm sat down quite low in the car as well. There's quite a lot of headroom. Presumably this seat goes up quite a long way, and blimey, there's a carrot in the back! You're going to make a terrible backseat driver, mate. Anyway, visibility wise, I think these A-pillars are rather chunky, and because you sat so low down, the bulkhead's high up, so you can't see the corner of the car. It's curious having that little triangle window. And then of course we have the customary, these days, massive B-pillar and an exceedingly long slope to the bottom. Just here we have a gear stick with some sort of recess in there. I'm not sure what that's for. 6-speed box, maybe that's good. Phone cover and the radio. The multifunction steering wheel, of course, has the flat bottom as usual, but again, we have something here that's supposed to look like aluminium, but it really doesn't. It doesn't feel like it and doesn't look like it. I was expecting something a bit more exciting sounding than that, being as it's got those two fat exhausts there. Underneath the bonnet we find an engine, and for a change it's not even a diesel, but it does look quite small, doesn't it? Small but powerful. 200 and breaky horsepower apparently. Feels it's quite jerky on the throttle there actually. The brakes are instantly way too sharp compared to my 25 anyway. So this concerns me already, because what I have to do now is negotiate some speed bumps. And here they are. Can hear something scraping there. It's just the mud flap, I think. Shouldn't normally have to go this slowly over a speed hump. I'm sure someone the other way just called me a dickhead then. And another one. Oh, there we go. We love that sound. My normal route would include a slow start and then end up at Kingsway Business Park, because at least there you can go a little bit quicker than 30. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing now. Nice and straight, nice and flat. Drives well, stops well, steers nicely. Gear changes as slick as you'd expect it to be. Now you can tell by my lack of really happy, excited smile that it's not really pressing any buttons for me at the moment. So maybe we're going to be reliant entirely on this car having some sort of silly amount of acceleration. Exciting get up and go. This is actually a 2 litre petrol, 280 brake horsepower lump under the bonnet. That is a lot of power, but then no doubt, although this isn't a big car, it's probably going to be really heavy, like much heavier than it should be for the size of it. Whereas my Rover 25 is more like a lemon meringue, this is more like a big helping of Dundee cake. Honestly, this car doesn't really make me think of anything particularly. It's another one of those just cars, I think. And on these surfaces as well, on the normal roads, it's quite jiggly. It feels a bit like that low-cut bra there is going to reveal something that should only be coming out in a carry-on film. I do like that wiper action, that is quite good. But then again, that does leave quite a big triangle in the middle where it doesn't wipe. I mean, it's not in an important place, but Hubnut wouldn't like that. Do you reckon I can beat the learner from the lights? Unless this has got exceptionally good tyres, I'm not going to get a particularly good grip because it's wet outside now. And it's not 4-wheel drive, it's just front-wheel drive. So any excitement this car has to offer is probably going to be halved by precipitation. Second gear. Oh, I'll tell you what, that's that's rather good actually. Now I'm smiling. Oh yes, that's quick. And not only is it quick, it's really muscular with it. It feels, that's impressive. And mind you, we'll have traction control, and obviously that traction control is doing a very good job because there's no start of it even wanting to slip there. It just gripped and buggered off. Turn around the roundabout. I've got to keep my eye on the dashboard a little bit. Ah, there we go. Oh no, it's the indicator. Jesus, that's good. Oh, I'm a bit impressed now. That's transformed my opinion of this car, because actually when you give it the beans, if you like to call it beans, it does respond. It responds properly. It's so much better than having a diesel for that kind of thing, because it handles nicely. It doesn't feel too heavy. I was expecting this to feel like a bloody brick on wheels, but it doesn't. It's got a deftness to it. It's nice. Gosh, it's a really good drive. The only thing is, when you're not doing that, you're back to it being a bit boring. Sorry. It's just this interior. This interior just does nothing for me. Maybe it's not supposed to do. And I know it's all a bit childish and everything, but I do like all the hissing and whizzing and popping noises that it does. I mean, it's a mixed bag for me, really, this. But I think the only thing I really do like about it is some of the design. But I mean, I do like some of the design features, and I do like that engine. That engine does sound good, as well as actually having a nice bit of punch to it. Just had somebody coming up behind me then doing some Audi driving in an Audi, and now he's stopped. Stopped being an Audi driver. No, stop driving too closely. This car is, yeah, it's one of those. It has lots to like about it, but it has an awful lot of missing personality, I would say. Once you get beyond the power that it has, it's kind of got nothing really of appeal for me, which isn't a glowing review, is it? Did you expect one? Careful of that. Back to the speed humps of Sandbrook Park. That's the slowest I've ever been over these. Presumably, because the turbo was kicking in a little bit there and fluttering away like those birdies round the bin. It's best to leave it just to idle just for a minute. So left it. Oh, its lights have gone off now. Right, proper conclusion then. Proper conclusion. I quite like it, but I wouldn't really want one. Now, it's just not got quite enough of something to it. It just goes well. There is one thing in here that I do like, and that is this. Yeah, beer. There's some beer in there. I like that.